Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. In today's video I'm going to be showing you my top 10 favourite tarot decks. Now this was a hard one. This was so hard to narrow it down to a top 10, and I'm probably going to rethink this after I post it and thinking, no, I should have added that one or changed this one. So they're not really in order, but I will put my more favourites towards the top 5. But I'm going to start with this one. This is actually a more recent purchase, the Granny's Postcards Tarot. So a lot of these decks I mention are more decks that I use a lot of. So when I was thinking about my top 10 favourite tarot decks, I was thinking, do you know what? Are these decks that I use all the time, or are they just pretty? Because even though artwork is obviously essential with decks, I do love a bit kind of out there weird decks, ones that can really pull my intuition and extra messages from. So a deck like this does just that. This deck is amazing because this is created from 78 real vintage postcards. So all postcards are real and they were printed in the last century. Some I just think that is absolutely amazing, okay, that these are like real postcards. So these cards are like, some of these cards are like 100 years old. The only thing I don't like about the deck is the cardstock's quite thick, so it's very hard to get jumping cards. You get quite a few pop out, which is a little bit of a pet peeve of mine. But what I love about this deck is just so different. It's very vintagey. I love vintage decks, vintage vibes. And what I love is that there's a mixture of like, look at this one, how beautiful. There's a mixture of like people, and then there's a lot of like images of like cats, hedgehogs. So there's some animals in here, and obviously I'm a big, look at that, look how cute that is. I'm a big fanatic of animals. So it just has a nice mixture. It's so different. And honestly, I just love reading with it. It really does give me a lot of kind of accurate messages. So it's not one I see people working with a lot either on like YouTube, but it was, oh, this one, look, the Titanic. This is just insane for a Ten of Swords. Yeah, definitely have to show you that. Look, it is so beautiful. So the next one I have is Tarot of the Owls. And again, this is like another recent purchase. So, but don't get me wrong, I've worked with them a lot. They have been constantly used. But yeah, I had to include this deck because I have a beautiful bird deck that's based on Rider-Waite, and that was always like my favourite bird tarot deck, because it was basically like Rider-Waite, but the system was just birds included instead. But then when this deck came out, I was like, oh, the colours are so much more vibrant. So again, I was very torn between which bird deck to put in this video. But then I just felt like this one just has like a better backing as well. It has this beautiful eye on the back. I love owls. I love birds, like, but there is something very mystical and special about owls. What I love about this is not only the colours, but look at the detail and the fact that, you know, the swords corresponds to the winter suit. So they do actually use elements that you can work with seasons and time in, which I absolutely love. And another favourite thing that I love about this deck that I have to mention is pink owls. I mean, who would have thought to include pink owls in a deck? We even have green owls, but we have like the spring, the summer seasons. Look at the lovers. But yeah, there is so many cute images here, and it is so based on Rider-Waite as well, so it's perfect. Perfect to go along with the Rider-Waite. Like, look at this cute little baby owl. But yeah, I'll just look, the pink owls. I mean, I connect with this deck. I connected with it instantly, and then I was like, oh my god, is this going to replace my favorite bird deck? And it possibly kind of has. So I am mentioning this as a top deck in my top 10. So the next deck I have to show you as a favourite is called the Meraki Tarot. This is a nature-based deck. Okay, it has a lot of like birds, animals, and look at this. So I love that it's black. It's matte and it's black. Like, oh, I just wish more decks would make black edges. I just think they look stunning. The cardstock is that soft, matte, velvety feeling. Like, if I had to pick a favourite cardstock, it is this type of feeling. So beautiful foxes, and oh, I've just never seen such stunning artwork. Like, there's like a lot of simplicity, and then there's just this, I don't know, it just really draws you into the images. I honestly just think it is the most beautiful deck. Like, out of all these decks I'm showing you today in this top 10, I would say this is the best artwork, in my opinion. I just think this is incredible. Like, look. So yeah, I just have to mention this because it has the birds, animals, nature, beautiful soft colours, a bit of vibrancy. Oh, and it is great to read with. So this is definitely one of my well-used decks for readings. So yeah, that is the Meraki Tarot. So the next deck is the Tarot of Mystical Moments. Now, this deck, I remember when I saw the review and I was like, I don't know if I'm gonna like it. And then I kept seeing people use it online and I was like, oh, do you know what? I feel like I'm starting to connect with it. And the weird thing is, this has become one of my most used decks in readings, especially when I do audio readings, because I find that I can really go into detail and pull out a lot of things and signs and synchronicities for people, and it's straight from this deck. So as you can see, we have this silver gilding. It's a very mystical fantasy style artwork. It's different, and at first I was like, is it too different? But then I started to shift when I first started reading tarot, okay, when I first got into tarot, I was just all about collecting proper girly pretty decks. And then I realised, you know what, it's not about that. It's about your intuition, and sometimes you won't even know why you like a deck, but you just like it. Sometimes you'll hate a deck and other people love it. It was just so one of those things. The decks are, you know, it's all about the artwork, what pulls the intuition and what you're drawn to. And I just feel like this deck is so unique. It's so different. And I just, again, when I work with decks, I just see what messages come through. If I can really work with a deck, and the messages I get from this is endless, absolutely endless. But it's beautiful. Like, the artwork is stunning, but it's obviously not to everyone's taste. But look at that. It's just like her hair is turning into the tower. It's just so cool how they've, like, look, I mean, it's so unique. So unique, so beautiful. And you know, we've got animals, birds, nature. So again, it stands for everything that I love in a deck. Then I have the Heaven and Earth Tarot. So this one is, if you booked like my 15-minute reading, sorry, you will know this is the deck that is in the pictures on my Etsy store of advertising it. So I use this deck a lot. I've used this so much. Like, you can see the edges. Like, they're not looking so fancy new anymore. Okay, they're looking a bit dark. But this deck, I mean, the backs are a bit plain, but it's fine because the artwork and colour scheme of this is amazing. So this is based on the traditional Rider-Waite. So as you can see, very easy to read. There's a bit of astrology, like zodiac elements, and yeah, there's a lot to work with, but it's the colours for me. It's the grey, misty, foggy vibe. It's just so stunning, like, and I connect with it. All these decks I'm showing you, it was down to the points of, if I had to throw my entire collection out and keep 10 decks, what was the ones I really couldn't throw in the bin? And that's why I pulled these out, because I thought these are my most used decks. These are the ones that I gravitate towards. These are the ones I always use for client readings. But yeah, I just love the colours, because obviously the Rider-Waite, it depends if you like really bright colours, and sometimes I do for decks, but other times I just love the kind of darker feel decks, you know, that have that kind of colour scheme to it. So that's another favourite. Next is the Victorian Romantic Tarot. Now this probably is the second most expensive, because my first very expensive tarot deck I'm going to show you very last at the end of this video. But this was a very pricey deck, but you can see why, because it comes in this beautiful wooden box, and it's the Victorian Romantic Tarot. So this is the back of the card. Very, very pretty. Now this is based on obviously Victorian images. It's very kind of, has that kind of old style vintage feel. And as you can see, it has gold reflections on the images. So you have to kind of like tilt them. Hopefully the camera can pick it up. But as you can see, like his robe, like his purple, I think it's called cold stamping. So parts of the images will be like, have this kind of metallic, yeah, like you can see it there, that metallic-y kind of reflection. And I thought to myself, is that what makes this deck so beautiful? And I thought, if you took that stamping away, the deck is still a 10 out of 10. So it's just that extra luxury, elegant feel to it. But it is, the stamping does obviously bring that extra touch to the deck. But I just do love the old artwork style. It's super pretty, and again, it's really great for love readings or general readings, but I do love using it for love decks because I can get some extra messages with the stunning artwork that comes out. But it is, again, it's so worth the money. It really, really is. Like, if you're looking for a luxury deck, I definitely would say this one is definitely worth. I mean, look at that Lovers card. Stunning. So yeah, this one is definitely worth if you are looking for a luxury deck. So the next deck I have is the Tarot of Haunted House. As you can see how much I use this deck, I keep pulling it in and out, and now my box is broke. The only negative about these types of decks, especially from like Blow Scarabeo, is the tuck boxes are cheap as anything, which is annoying because you want your decks to, well, you want the boxes to last, especially if you're collecting decks. So that's my only negative. I wish they come in like better boxes. But this deck, oh, let's get into this. As you can see, it's like it's like reversible backing, which is great. This deck is very easy to shuffle, easy to manage. Sometimes it's great that decks don't have the gilding on, because if you're constantly using them, that's going to come off anyway. So even though I love that, like having gilding stuff, sometimes I do just love a deck, just like a standard one, that it doesn't matter how kind of rough you get with it. So again, this has been used a ton. So throughout this deck, it tells a story going through the haunted house. Now obviously, if you watch my channel, you know I like my spooky stuff. So this is a more kind of dark, spooky deck, but it still has a lot of lightness to it as well. Again, very good for the intuition. It's just, I don't know, something about this artwork. I'm just so connected to this deck, so drawn to it. Look, it just has every type of element that I want. And I was debating whether to put like a ghost tarot deck, because I have two ghost tarot decks that I love, but then I thought, do I really use them as much with clients and stuff? Not really. They're more for like personal use, so I thought I won't include them, but at least I have to show you the decks that are spooky that I love. And this is like one that I've religiously used. So this is definitely in the top 5. Okay, I'll give you that right now. It's in the top 5 because it is one of my most used ones. It's perfect for all-round readings, spiritual, love, any type of issues you're going through, or it's just very, very insightful. And as you can see, it is still based on the Rider-Waite system, as you can see. But yeah, look, the spooky vibes to it give it that extra. Oh, it's just stunning. Then we have a Tarot of the Night. So I absolutely love this artist. Okay, this artist artwork is phenomenal. I have her oracle deck as well, and I'm obsessed. So this one actually comes in a really good quality box. So that's great that this Low Scarabeo one comes in a nice box. So this one, this is the backs. It just has this kind of moon, deep blue image. Again, the sides are going to be disgusting because it's just overused. This is probably this is like, I'd say, my most used tarot deck, actually. Yeah, I think out of all of them, this is my most used one. So this, again, it's in the top 3. So let's just show you the image. So this is insanely stunning. It has kind of like, you know, realistic kind of imagery of these people. Okay, so it's kind of quite realistic looking, but then it's very kind of still quite fantasy based. I connected with this deck as soon as it came, and I just knew it was going to be a favourite. I just knew this is one that I would cry if anything happened to this, or I'd have to buy a new one. I would just, this is just, it has everything. It has a bit of vampire energy, it has a bit of fairy tale energy, like very kind of like mystical, but it also, it has that dark element to it, that dark feel. Look how beautiful the colours are. It's very kind of purpley, black, spooky. And again, I'm very, very fussy with tarot decks. Tarot, I'm more fussy than I am with the oracle cards, because I feel like with oracle, you know, if you don't like images, you can just pull them out. But with tarot decks, you know, you have to have a full deck, and they all have to be amazing. This, you know, this kind of reminds me of Vikings. It has mermaids. It's got, oh, there's just so much in this deck. Like, I do think it is incredible. It really, really is. There's just something about it. There really is something. Look, that looks like Frozen, but it's just dark. It's not like childlike. It does have that really beautiful feel to it. This reminds me of Game of Thrones. There's just certain things that remind. I love this Three of Swords. This is an intense Three of Swords. Yeah, wow. I mean, we could keep going through it, but you kind of get the feel of what this deck looks like. So yeah, I would definitely recommend this one. So the next deck I have to show you is actually my own tarot deck. So I made this tarot deck myself because I love the Vampire Diaries, and there isn't a Vampire Diaries tarot deck, and I thought I don't want to make it into a pip deck. I wanted to do, based on the Rider-Waite system, I wanted to follow it through with the imagery to relate to that. If you want to see the full flip through, it is on my channel. I will link it below in this description bar of this video. But I'm super proud of it. I'm super proud, and you know, I don't want to give too many things away, but I would love to make more decks, and that is my aim. Decks can take years, so I am obviously going to take my time, but I am planning to make a deck. Whether this is for myself or to sell, but that is like a goal or an aim in my tarot reading business. So this deck isn't for sale, just in case I start getting loads of messages and comments, because I know so many people want it, but I just don't really know how to publish it. If you're a fan of the Vampire Diaries, you're gonna connect with the imagery, you're gonna know what the story shows throughout each card. I mean, the Six of Cups is obviously Catherine with her photograph, the lovers. I mean, I use this a lot in my love tarot readings if you book those. But yeah, I mean, they're all stunning characters, and yeah, I just tried my best to find the best imagery to go with the Rider-Waite. So it did take me a long time. I just love it. I just love it, and it is obviously a favourite. How could I not have my own deck that I made as a favourite? So yeah, if you're a fan of the Vampire Diaries, let me know in the comments. But yeah, that is my, let's just quickly look at Damon. yeah, it's stunning. So it's silver gilded, so 100% a favourite. So the last deck I have to show you is obviously going to be a Rider-Waite deck, because I have showed you lots of different artwork that I love, but let's be honest, you know, if you love tarot, you've got to love the Rider-Waite, the traditional, original Pamela Smith deck. So this is no copyright on these. This is the vintage Rider-Waite Smith tarot cards. This is a Pam A early edition from like the 1910, with the original box and book. So these cards, as you can see, very thick cardstock, super old, vintagey looking. I can't tell you how many hands these have been in, and that's the most incredible thing about this deck. It has survived over 100 years. Like, that's why I love vintage things. I'm very like fascinated with the past and how there are still things around now that are in immaculate condition. So obviously I love this deck. This deck I use for personal readings for myself, because the decks I kind of use for myself are Rider-Waite. I use this one, or I use my 1970s edition, which has the blue checkered back, and that deck, you know, you can get on eBay. This is my most expensive deck. Like, this was crazy priced, but 100% worth it. Like, I don't regret buying this. This was a birthday present to myself last year, and this is something that's always going to be in my collection. This is something, you know, I'd love to pass down to my children. This is just it's incredible. It's incredible I have it, because I feel like the Pam A is the rarest to get. Yeah, so I manifested it, and it was just insane how it did pop up online. Yeah, so I'm super blessed and grateful to have this deck. I believe it was truly meant to be mine. And as I say, this deck I use for myself, but I do use it in my divination reading on my Etsy shop. So if you'd like a reading with this deck that holds timeless and powerful energy in it, I do think it's a very, very powerful deck because of its significant ancient age. So yeah, I do have a reading based on that, but I don't just pull this deck out for general readings or small readings. It is for my large divination reading. But yeah, I just can't tell you how much I love this deck. This is like the #1 because it's my baby, you know. It's my, I feel I've worked hard for this deck, so I deserve it. So this is my, I always pop a little crystal in the box with it as well, but yeah, this is my top 10 favourite tarot decks. I was really excited to put this video out. It's been long overdue. I might do my top 5 or top 10 favourite oracle decks. That's going to be a hard one because I just have too many oracle decks. But yeah, let me know in the comments what was your favourite deck. I would love to know. Don't forget to like the video, subscribe, and I'm sending you so much love and light.